I see now that you aren't my friend. My time here is about to end. You haven't seen the last of me.
You're the worst!
Hello Cozy Gamers and welcome back to the Cozy Gaming Club, where we talk about all the latest and greatest cozy games. This week I was lucky enough to get an early access preview of Lil Guardsman, and as you just seen, this game really is something else. Before diving into the review though, I'd like to say a big thank you to Hilltop Studios for kindly gifting me a key to check this out early. I would also like to clarify that this video is not sponsored, but I do have to call it an ad because of UK specific regulations. Now that that's out the way, let's take a look at this cute deduction game. In Lil Guardsman, you play as a 12-year-old girl who's covering her dad's job at the guard shed while he bets on some goblin ball games. Now it's up to you to decide which fantasy creatures to let into your kingdom, which to deny, and which ones to send to jail. The story of Lil Guardsman begins with a very dramatic introduction filled with fire, but for the most part, the game is incredibly chill. It's actually really light-hearted with a cartoony art style, and it's releasing today on all major platforms: PC, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. First of all, the narrative in Lil Guardsman is incredible. The comedy is on point, and it's definitely one of the best things about the game. It's also fully voice acted, which is a really nice touch because there's quite a lot of reading to do. There are so many goofy characters for you to meet, some of which may be familiar to you if you watched the more popular films and TV shows. It was always funny when you came across one of these parody characters and got to see their funny one-liners, but the original characters are also worthy of a mention. I loved Lil's dad. Even though he was irresponsible and a bit oblivious at times, I loved every single interaction with him, and I was sad when he wasn't around. I also had a lot of love for quaint old Mrs. Abernathy and the poor, unfortunate Signor Capello Fantastico, who sadly never found the perfect hat in my playthrough.
This hat, it is not as fantastic as my previous hat. My journey, it continues.
All of the original characters were packed full of heart, and I actually ended up caring for a lot of them, despite the brief interactions. But besides the witty jokes, there's also a number of underlying plots to keep track of in Lil Guardsman that are slightly less cozy. Between the Mage's uprising and the Goblin Liberation Army, there are a few darker elements at play that come to a conclusion in the final few chapters of the game. I would say that while this was interesting, it wasn't what I was expecting when I started playing the game, and I also wasn't very good at it. I'm not sure if there are multiple endings to the game. I would guess there are, in which case I definitely got the bad ending. They do try to keep the game lighthearted through these final chapters, but they were definitely the low point of the game for me. I much preferred the earlier chapters where my biggest worry was if I'd bet on the right team at the Goblin Ball match. As for the gameplay, much like Papers, Please, Lil Guardsman will have you evaluating the honesty, and sometimes sanity, of the various travellers coming to your desk for entry. Rather than a handful of papers though, you'll instead have an arsenal of tools at your disposal. Use a truth spray to get people to confess their deepest, darkest secrets. The X-ray can find hidden items inside large objects or beneath someone's clothes. And the metal detector can do a similar thing for metallic items. The decoder ring can be used to reveal the meaning behind anything illegible, and finally there's the bullwhip. Yeah, I didn't use that one much either, but I did do a moral run, so... What may originally have been an illegible scribble from a child could be decoded to reveal a hidden message about their new nightmare of a stepmother. And a respectable mage delivering a keynote speech could admit their true nefarious plans after a few squirts of truth spray. These are both examples from the very first day, but there are a lot more mysterious and dangerous visitors to unmask during the game. But, while it may be tempting to go all out and give every traveller the third degree, each tool actually has a limit to how often it can be used. The power crystals that you use to charge them are in short supply, so you'll need to be careful in choosing when to use which tools. Fortunately, you can rewind time with your Chronometer 3000, so if you make the wrong choices, you have the opportunity to try again. This will come in incredibly useful, as making the wrong decision can sometimes lead to your death. Each traveller interaction also has a rating out of 4 stars, and the little description does give hints as to what you may have missed if you didn't get those top marks. One of my favorite things is that at the end of the day, you sort of get a where they are now for every character who came to your desk. And these were really funny. Honestly, the writers of the game did an incredible job with this, and I found myself laughing so much at these little flashes forward. Also, just like in Papers, Please, there are moral conundrums for you to deal with. Throughout the game, you will be offered bribes and even given orders from royal advisors that may go against your moral compass. How you deal with them is completely up to you, but they may have lasting impacts on the rest of the game. Most of the time, your shifts will be carried out during the day, but you will occasionally have to work a night shift, which is when the fantasy elements of the game really come into the forefront. With the aid of a monster manual, you'll need to correctly identify the species of monsters and work out their true intentions before deciding whether to let them into the city or not. There are a range of monsters to encounter, some of which will be harder to identify than others. There are also a few fun mini-games at key points throughout the story to break up the gameplay, like a hilarious TV show competition, blind date style game where you need to decide which hero to send to save the princess out of 3 stereotypical party classes. Besides the great gameplay and narrative, the art is also incredible, and the game has great music and sound effects to round it out. It really is just an all-around tremendous experience that I was really enjoying until I reached the political drama towards the end. My only other issue with the game, really, is that you can't save the game midday. That I could find anyway. This isn't always an issue, as some days only have 4 visitors, but on days where I had 6 or 7 visitors with redos, it could end up taking significantly longer. There was one day I had to replay it 3 times because I kept getting busy and having to put it down. Overall, I've tried to keep this review quite light and spoiler-free, but I hope it's given you some insight into what you can expect from Lil Guardsman if you do decide to play it. Between the humour and the art style, this really does remind me of a Saturday morning cartoon. And while there are a few things that detracted from the overall gameplay experience, I did still really enjoy this game. And I would recommend it based on those first few chapters. They're really great to experience. Overall though, it's hard to discern if Lil Guardsman should be classed as a cozy game. The humour can be a little bit dark at times, you can obviously die in the game, and the politics do get quite heavy later on into the game as well. But at the same time, you can rewind any bad decisions you make or untimely deaths. And there are also no time pressures or limits imposed on the gameplay either. I'm not really sure how to class this one, so I'd love to hear what you think. Do you think Lil Guardsman should be considered a cozy game? If you tried out this game, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Please let me know in the comments below. And if you would like to see more videos about upcoming cozy games, then make sure you subscribe to my channel. I try to release a new video and do a live stream every single week. I hope to see you next video. Bye!